The 2015 CFL season is a week away. The regular season tonight, we bring a conclusion to the preseason for a couple of teams that have to make some cuts before Saturday. The Montreal Alouettes host the Toronto Argonauts tonight.
And Jonathan Crompton leads the Montreal Alouettes, 8-2 record as a starter last season. He was the stabilizing influence for this team coming down the stretch a year ago, made this team his own. On the other sideline, Trevor Harris looks to do the same with the Toronto Argonauts in the absence of Ricky Ray, who will start the season on the 6-game injured list. This is Trevor Harris's ship.
Argos will begin the season next week. Scott Milanovich and company in Fort McMurray, an actual home game for the Argos against the Edmonton Eskimos. The Alouettes will open up the season a week from today. We'll be here at Percival Molson Stadium. Tom Higgins' team will open the season against the Ottawa Redblacks. They had a miserable start, the Alouettes did, to last season with their 1-7 start, and then they took off and made the playoffs and almost made it to the Grey Cup.
Well, and a combination of factors coming together for that team. We mentioned Jonathan Crompton at quarterback. Another guy, the guy in the middle of that defense, Bear Woods, came off the injured list. Really helped that defense turn things around for Noel Thorpe's crew.
So what is the idea right now? Cut down to the season rosters comes on Saturday. They have 65 or so right now as Swayze Waters will kick it off here tonight. Last dress rehearsal before the real stuff begins next week, and the last chance for a lot of these players to make the grade.
Yeah, no question. And for the most part, you have a pretty good idea at this point who your starters are going to be. You're going to see most of those guys in the early part of this game. You want to see them be sharp, and then you want to get them out of the game healthy.
So Swayze Waters, last year's most outstanding special teams player in the Canadian Football League, puts it in the air, and Steph Logan, the former BC Lion, wears number 0. The Mighty Mo at the 30. Look out here. There goes Logan up near the 45-yard line of Toronto. We have an injured Argo on the field, but Steph Logan already blazes a trail, a huge return for Logan. And Jonathan Crompton will bring his offense on the field after a 55-yard return.
As we mentioned, Jonathan Crompton, he was the new guy last year. This year, he's in very familiar surroundings. He gets Brandon Whitaker back, led the East Division in rushing yards per game, only played 13 games a year ago. Jeff Parrott, an all-star East Division nominee for most outstanding offensive lineman a season ago. He's at right tackle, the bookend to Josh Burke. But as the fellas mentioned, a number of new faces in the receiving corps. S.J. Green is back, Deron Carter, Brandon London gone. Say hello to Fred Stamps and Nick Lewis.
Well, there's Logan, gets into the huddle, and this is not something you want to see on the first play of the game. Akeem Wonder out of Windsor, Mississauga native, here on this return, number 46. There's the return by Logan, and behind the play, Wonder was down at the 32-yard line. Here it is here.
And there you see Akeem Wonder in the middle of the picture. The guy, again, he's played a little bit of linebacker, defensive back, trying to make this team as a special teamer. Been through a couple of CFL camps in the past.
And looking at his leg, he took a shot to the helmet, it looked like, for a moment, and may have been twisted up as he went down to the turf. Very hot, sticky night here in Montreal. They're expecting some rain later in the night, but again, Scott Milanovich goes out, Argo head coach. As we'll take a look at some of the defensive starters. Keep in mind, some of those starters not playing tonight, but we're going to look at Tristan O all season long. What an influence he was to the Argos D-line.
Yeah, he's got that great reach. A guy who hadn't played a whole ton of football, didn't start playing football till the end of high school. But Tristan Opolugo led all CFL rookies in sacks last season. He's got the veteran Ricky Foley now on the other side, coming back to Toronto. A trade with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Shea Emery going the other way, which frees up a little bit of playing time for Corey Greenwood, linebacker who was the 3rd overall pick for the Toronto Argonauts in the 2010 CFL draft. Spent the last few years in the National Football League before joining the Argos midway through last year. He's going to play the weak side linebacker spot. This is as athletic a linebacker as you're going to find in this league.
What a Difficult situation in the first play. Akeem Wander's going to leave on the cart. Wander, who spent some time on the practice roster of the Calgary Stampeders, trying to make this team as a linebacker, special teams player, and everybody coming over to wish him the best. You saw Scott Milanovich, when your head coach comes out and an injury's on the field, it's not usually very good. So we wish Akeem Wander the best here, and not good news for the Argos on this first return of the game. Not only giving up the run to Steph Logan, but more importantly, losing a young player. Looks like the shin area.
And it looked like Akeem Wander just got caught. Sort of an ear hole shot coming from that blind side. It appeared that right foot was planted in the turf.
This is what you hate.
That knee.
You hate about preseason football as well. Injuries are inevitable in this game, but you don't want to see anybody go down in the preseason. So Jonathan Crompton, 8-2 as an Alouettes starter, led them to the playoffs a year ago. Little dump pass out of the backfield for Brandon Whitaker, spinning near the 34-yard line. They need to get Brandon Whitaker some more touches this year as well.
Well, the guy to do it will be Jonathan Crompton. The starter from the get-go this year. There you see the stats from last year, close to 60% completion rate, 11 TDs, 8 interceptions. And this was the key for Jonathan Crompton. His job wasn't to come in and light it up from the quarterback position. His job was, as you hear it said all the time, manage the game, don't turn over the football, protect the rock. He did a pretty good job of it.
Handed it off to Whitaker on first down. Crompton did not look good in his first preseason game. We'll see a little more time here tonight. One of the benefits that Jonathan Crompton has this year, even though Anthony Calvillo has been around, Anthony Calvillo, by the way, is around a lot more now.
Yeah, well, Anthony Calvillo this year joining the Alouettes coaching staff. He is their receivers coach, so you can imagine the amount of knowledge being passed around in those meetings. Anthony Calvillo, Nick Lewis, Fred Stamps. Great opportunity for some young receivers to learn, and of course, S.J. Green, the guy who's been here all along. But yeah, to have AC in meetings on a regular basis for Crompton will be huge.
Good protection over the top. What a catch. Down to the 2-yard line. The reception from Cody Hoffman. Out of BYU, Cody Hoffman trying to find employment here in Canada on a bullet from Jonathan Crompton.
Well, Crompton gets great protection from the vaunted Alouette offensive line. Throws a strike. Hoffman just right down the seam in that slot. You see as the ball's coming in, uses the big body. Brandon London, Deron Carter gone. Cody Hoffman, an opportunity to add a little bit of size, 6'4", 210 to the receiving corps.
From the 3-yard line, Whitaker swallowed up at the line of scrimmage. Well, there are some vacancies in Montreal. One of the stories for the Alouettes in the offseason was the fact that Jonathan Crompton got some valuable experience at receiver. Yes, they lost Deron Carter, who's down in the NFL with Indianapolis. But boy, they gained a lot of yards and a lot of catches from a couple of veterans.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people will look and think that Nick Lewis, Fred Stamps, maybe based on the numbers over the last couple of years, injury history, etc., that these guys may not have a ton left. I think there's a tendency sometimes with veteran players to get a little bit too caught up in what they can't do anymore and forget about all the things that they can do and bring to a team.
Canadian quarterback Brandon Bridge is in, and he is piled up. Bridge out of South Alabama University, went to Alcorn State, out of Mississauga, highly touted, a dual threat quarterback. Was drafted in the 4th round by the Alouettes. Talking with Tom Higgins yesterday, said, expect to see Brandon Bridge. It's not going to be surprising to see Brandon Bridge on the roster of this team this year.
Yeah, in a pretty good position to win that number 3 slot. Obviously, Jonathan Crompton, the number 1 guy. Dan Lefevre, the former Hamilton Tiger Cat, will be the number 2 man and expects to see a lot of playing time. But there is definitely an opportunity for Brandon Bridge here. The Alouettes organization is high on this young man.
So it will be 3rd and goal from just outside the 1-yard line. Crompton is back behind center in shotgun. Whitaker in the pistol. The end around, and they will score. the touchdown coming from Jonathan Hefney.
Where you're going to see the slot.
Jonathan Bryant, sorry.
Yeah, the slot's going to come from right to left. It's that preseason thing. They're doubling up numbers on us here on some of the jerseys. Just straight slot back sweep. We saw the Alouettes last year start to get into some of this stuff.
Now they have 223s on the roster. Jonathan Bryant scores the touchdown. 7 plays, 46 yards. 4 minutes into this game. And Sean White, a 32-yard point after. What do you think about that? Single point, 32 yards. And that's one of the new rules we'll be talking about as Jonathan Bryant takes it to the house. Here's Jonathan Bryant out of Georgia Southern, the touchdown on the opening drive.
A young man from the same alma mater as former Alouette star Tracy Ham. He's going to start deep in the backfield. He's going to bring that motion across. If you keep an eye on the front side of this, watch the tackle, Josh Burke, left tackle. He's just got to get enough of his man to slow him down. He gets enough of Ricky Foley to chip him, delay his pursuit, allows Bryant to get to the outside. A speedster like that, all he needs is a little bit.
Did you see that safety? Can you make it more obvious?
Sean White kicks it off. Deontay Spencer and Brendan Smith are back. It's Spencer who's tripped up. And one of the newbies again back there. Now let's bring in a Trevor Harris. A couple of years ago, he was locked in a fight with Zach Collaros as the backup in Toronto. Collaros, of course, is now in Hamilton, and now he will start the season, it appears, with Ricky Ray out of the lineup.
Yeah, got his first career start under his belt in the season finale last year, a victory for the Argos. He, of course, will have Chad Owens in that receiving corps. An important offseason move for the Argos, re-signing guard Tyler Holmes.
Handoff. Henry Josie from Missouri. Curtis Steele not with the team right now. He's banged up. Here's who Henry Josie will see a lot of tonight.
Well, and a pretty good veteran group for this Montreal Alouette defense. Of course, Bear Woods, an outstanding season at his middle linebacker spot, led the East in tackles. John Bowman tied a career high with 12 sacks last year. And of course, the ball hawk, Jeff Tisdale, on the boundary corner.
Penalty flag flies. And Tozy gets belted by Marco Briette, the free safety. There was a penalty on the play. Our referee tonight is Dave Foxcroft. One of the themes in the preseason, looking into the new season, the number of rule changes in the offseason. Some very radical to the Canadian Football League. Here's
Offside.
the call.
Montreal, number 7. That penalty's declined. First down, Toronto.
We've already seen our point after. We're getting used to that. Now scrimmaged at the 25-yard line, a 32-yard kick, or you take a 2-point convert from the 3. And there are others, the punting rules, the jam rules, jam, no jam rules, the 5-yard restraining area.
Yeah, and a number of these rules, time will tell how beneficial they are, but I think there's no question that some of the rules designed to speed up the game. Very simple, but brilliant.
Sean Bowman brings down Josie, chatting with Scott Milanovic. He said to keep an eye on Josie, one of the guys they're taking a serious look at. We're going to see Anthony Coombs as well tonight. Again, Curtis Steele is nicked up. They're trying to find that tailback in Toronto. There's Jim Barker behind Milanovic, the general manager of the Argos. Busy off-season, trying to improve on a record of 8-10. They did not make the playoffs in the East last year. 2nd and 9. Tight formation, slant pattern, and there's going to be an interference call.
Well, when you talk about the new rules, looks like we're going to have that contact past 5 yards, beyond the 5-yard mark from the line of scrimmage against Mitchell White.
Mitchell White on Torrey Gurley, another guy that Milanovic said has had a great camp. Gurley had 7 catches in the preseason loss to Winnipeg.
Montreal, number 13. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Gurley spent some time in the National Football League out of South Carolina.
There you can see Mitchell White with the right hand, grasping around the hip of Torrey Gurley. Gurley had a nice quick swim move to the inside on that release to gain position. White fighting to try and get back underneath him.
So right on the midfield strike, the 55-yard line. Harris out of the backfield. We're seeing a lot of Josie so far. And once again, another penalty flag and a first down. And Henry Josie showing some moves, some dash and flash on that far side of the field. Pickup of 14.
Illegal contact, Montreal, number 17. That penalty's declined. First down, Toronto.
Billy Parker, the violation.
Again, this will be part of the challenge. Oddly enough, more so for the veteran defensive backs than the young guys coming into the league who are used to not having a lot of contact downfield. The veteran guys have been allowed to get away with a little bit for some years here, and they're going to have to adjust.
Twin tight ends. Harris looking good so far. Steps up, decides to tuck it and take it. Bearing down on him was Bear Woods. Picked up half the first down yardage down near the 35-yard line.
But now if you're Scott Milanovic and Marcus Brady, offensive coordinator, you like to see this from a decision-making point of view from your quarterback, Trevor Harris. Immediately doesn't like what he sees. There's an opportunity to gain positive yards on first down, tucks it and goes. Now, from a logistics point of view, before the start of the regular season with Ricky Ray already out of the lineup, you don't want to see it too often.
Second down and 4. Well, why not? It's been chosen to Josie right this time. Bowman and Woods are able to stop him in his tracks on second down. This will make it a third down, and they'll bring the kick team out now.
The Alouettes did a nice job closing this up. You saw John Bowman shuffle down from his defensive end position, kind of aware of his leverage, making sure he's not getting outflanked. Once he sees that ball handed off, he can then commit and crash down to the inside.
What a year Swayze Waters had last year. 90% kicking. Many ways one of the Argos' most valuable players. This is from the 42-yard line. Harris to hold. This kick will split the uprights. And the Argos are on the board midway through the first quarter. Preseason Thursday night football. The Alouettes lead 7-3. Well, it all gets underway a week from tonight. 2015 CFL regular season kicks off. The new season begins. Thursday night football on TSN. Next Thursday, Ottawa Red Blacks come down the road to take on the Alouettes. Here at Molson Stadium on the McGill University campus. Tonight it's preseason football. Final decisions to be made in the next 48 hours. James Rogers is back at his 20 to the 30, and he is brought down near the 35-yard line by Hervé Tonya.
Well, lots of changes, as we mentioned, in Montreal, mostly on the offensive side of the ball, bringing a lot of veteran presence, adding some depth, certainly. The arrival of Philip Blake allowed them to make a big draft day trade, sending Ryan Bombin to Hamilton, Dan Lefevre giving them that depth at quarterback. But much of the talk surrounding the veteran receivers, Nick Lewis and Fred Stamps.
Crompton decides to go. Brandon Whitaker supplying some blocking downfield on Greg Jones. A little bit of a diversion there that time, but Crompton scampers for 4 or 5 yards. It's going to be second down now and 6 to go. There's Nick, longtime Calgary Stampeder. Not used to seeing him wearing number 8. Of course, wore 82 for such a long time.
Yeah, fresh start, new number for Nick Lewis. Guy who's being looked to, along with Fred Stamps, to bring leadership, veteran presence, mentorship to some of the younger receivers.
Crompton has it out for Rogers, and he takes a big whack on the near sideline. Brandon Isaac, welcome back to the Argo linebacking core.
And Brandon Isaac has been one of the great stories of the Toronto Argonauts training camp. A guy who was released by the Argos a couple of years ago, essentially lost his starting position, was deemed expendable. Bounced around, went to Hamilton, was out of the league last year, but the Argos gave him another shot this year, came in healthy, in fantastic shape, and has been arguably the best member of their secondary in camp.
Big deep ball here, and it is picked off. A.J. Jefferson has it. And one of the Argos newbies has a pick in the preseason. There's a penalty flag back at the 50-yard line. It was well after the interception as Crompton was going deep. A.J. Jefferson out of Fresno State spent some time with the Minnesota Vikings back in 2013.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto, number 93. After the interception, it will be first down, Toronto.
As Dave Foxcroft said after the pick, going downfield, looking for Fred Stamps, A.J. Jefferson with the interception.
Duck and more.
A.J. Jefferson takes the one away from Fred Stamps and Jonathan Crompton.
Fred Stamps is lined up on the outside. He's going to use that waggy. You've got Jefferson in coverage. Stamps is looking to get inside, and he gets that position, but you get the sense A.J. Jefferson is just kind of baiting him here. Reads that throw. Outstanding job to come underneath and time that leap. Make the interception.
Word of advice from Anthony Calvillo on the sideline is again seeing lots of Henry Josie here. He's had a number of touches. Calvillo again, the receivers coach, but I can tell you he's going to impart some wisdom to Jonathan Crompton and company, the guys who will run the offense. Under 5 to go. Preseason game tonight in Montreal. 7-3. Harris shouts it out. Second down. In trouble. Now gets out of trouble and puts his shoulder down and his head down and is leveled by Winston Venable. Takes a big hit, and I'm sure Scott Milanovich won't be too happy about that. In open field, Harris taking that hit. He's their guy right now.
We had the talk with Trevor Harris last year before he made his first CFL start. But lessons he learned from his dad, and one of the biggest things was all about toughness. He told us his dad used to go out and box prisoners for fun once a week.
That's nothing, what he just did there. Well, there's Khalif Mitchell pointing to the sky. Khalif Mitchell, who's worn a BC Lion uniform, a Toronto Argonaut uniform now against his old mates. And there's that intensity we've come to know from Khalif Mitchell out of East Carolina, one of the best D linemen in the Canadian Football League. Second and 11 on the loss. Sideline now. There's going to be an interference call on Jeff Tisdale as they again were looking for Torrey Gurley. Contact downfield, and again they have the 5-yard rule here. You can jam within 5 yards, but you cannot touch a receiver after that.
As we mentioned, the bigger challenge being for the veteran guys. Here's Tisdale matched up on Gurley on the outside. Okay, so right there, now they're past 5 yards. I don't know.
Boy, in the preseason so far.
2 penalties on the play. Illegal contact, Montreal, number 12. That penalty's declined. We have pass interference, Montreal, number 12. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul, first down.
So they're saying interference, which occurred later than that illegal contact early on. So this might be a call we'll hear a couple of times.
Well, certainly in the early portion of this season, there's going to be a big learning curve. Obviously, the desire in this is, in the long run, to reduce the number of fouls being committed by defensive backs. But it's not going to happen overnight.
Pump fed by Harris. Good protection. Slings it out. Looking for Kevin Elliott. And again, a penalty flag. We may see a few flags early in the season, too, as teams get accustomed to some of these new rules, particularly defensive backs. We talked with Jordan Younger, now coach with the Argos, great defensive player through the years, about the adjustment period that's going to happen here.
Yeah, absolutely. And he said it's
Holding, Toronto, number 67. 10-yard penalty, repeat, first down.
You know, he's actually glad the Argos secondary. They've got a number of young guys this year, guys who are new to the Canadian Football League. We saw the interception already by A.J. Jefferson, part of a good rookie group of defensive backs for the Toronto Argonauts that, in their case, it's just a matter of teaching good habits as opposed to breaking old bad habits.
Harris stands in. Andre Dury, after another injury-plagued season last year, back at it. So a full season the Argos hope they'll get from Andre Dury and Chad Owens, something they did not get a year ago.
Limited action for Andre Dury, as you saw a season ago. If you think back to 2013, what a large percentage of the offense, the Argo offense, was produced by Dury and Owens.
We had lots of movement. Ball came out late, and players were over the line of scrimmage.
Procedure, Toronto, number 54. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
It just seems like yesterday, Andre Dury came into the league. He's 33 now.
Yeah, Andre Dury, former star running back at York University in Toronto. It's a very serious knee injury that basically wiped out the last 2 years of his college career, but has overcome that to become one of the top receivers in the Canadian Football League.
Dury in motion, 2nd and 17. Under 2 to play, first quarter. Harris again, good protection from the O-line. Way short of the first down, caught by Kevin Elliott out of Florida A&M. Elliott had a catch in the first preseason game, the loss to the Blue Bombers. Played in the FXFL. Fall Experimental Football League last year. Not sure how the experiment went. Elliott trying to apply his trade in Canada now.
Yeah, it seems to have turned out all right for Mr. Elliott. Getting an opportunity here with the Argos.
Swayze Waters will boot this away. Mikel Davidson is back. And goes backwards. Davidson. Montreal Carabin, a Vanier Cup champion, getting a chance to play at home tonight in the preseason. A minute to go, first quarter. There he is in the background. Not in the background very much, though. The general manager, the architect of the Alouettes, Jim Popp. With more on Jim Popp's offseason, which was very busy, let's go to the sideline and join John Liu.
Well, thank you, Rod. And rarely has so much been said and written about a player who's not here, but it's been 6 days since Michael Sam asked to leave the team, and there's still no time frame for his potential return. Now, prior to the game, Al's GM Jim Popp told TSN that he's been in constant contact daily with either Sam or his representatives, and maintains that he believes there's a high odds that Sam will return. And when asked what that's based upon, Popp said, quote, "The conversations have been great," end quote. And now the reasons for Sam's departure have been personal and confidential and remain so, which has caused much speculation that is mainly based upon Sam's alleged ability or inability to adjust to the Canadian game. And in response to that, Popp says the fact was that Sam was improving every day in camp, despite the learning curve he was undertaking. Guys?
Thank you, John. Jean-Christophe Beaulieu makes the catch, moves the sticks. Well, a lot made of the signing of Michael Sam. Jim Popp, as he told John Liu that there is a chance that Michael Sam could return. First and 10. There goes the football again into traffic. A lot was made of the Michael Sam signing both north and south of the border in the offseason.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And, one of the most interesting comments to me about it just has to do with the Montreal Alouettes roster. When you look at it coming in, it was never going to be easy for Michael Sam to make this team. This was a team...
Nor anybody.
These guys were already 4 deep in terms of guys that played regularly at defensive end last year. Obviously, John Bowman's a fixture. Gabriel Napton was a stud as a rookie last year. You still have Aaron Laverius and Brian Brakowski.
And they went out and got Khalif Mitchell. So add all of those players up, and maybe the numbers were one of the reasons that Sam's not here, but we'll continue to update that story as the days progress. As this game progresses, Montreal leads right now 7-3. Thursday night preseason football from McGill Molson Stadium in Montreal on TSN. Second quarter next. Back in Montreal, 7-3 Alouettes. Last test for both of these teams before the regular season begins next week. Rod Black, Dwayne Ford, back with you between quarters here. And I probably have asked you this before, but I just probably forgot. What was it like as a player to play in a preseason game? And I know it was a little bit different than they had a lot more preseason games, but in a player's mind, what are they going through right now?
Yeah, and it varies a lot, obviously, depending on what your status is as a player. As a rookie, I can tell you, my second ever preseason game, I actually threw up on the field. I was so nervous. True story. McMahon Stadium in Calgary against the Edmonton Eskimos. Oh, yeah. I mean, it may have also had to do with the fact that I had cheeseburgers for my pregame meal. But it's nerve-wracking,
That's
right?
really surprising.
You're competing for a job. But as a veteran player, in all honesty, it's very much the same thing as the coaches want to see. You want to play just enough to be comfortable, feel like you're in a bit of a groove, and then you just want to get out of the game, be healthy, and ready to go for the start of the season.
Now breaking it right side. And a flag and going. And down the sideline is A.J. Jefferson. And talk about an impression made tonight. A.J. Jefferson already has a pick and has a huge return of 70 yards. But there is a penalty flag, and it looks like it might be coming back. 47-yard boot, 70-yard return. A.J. Jefferson has been impressive.
During the return, holding Toronto. 10-yard penalty. That'll be a first down, Toronto.
So Jefferson's return is negated. Already a pick tonight. Found some room, and we'll see if we can spot the foul here. Might be right in there or there.
Yeah, most likely that outside battle between Dupuis and Marco Briette.
So Trevor Harris again. Play action this time. Fires his strike. Hazelton. Hazelton makes the catch. Another player in that fall experimental league last year out of Cincinnati. Also played at USC. Again, the Argos have some question marks, some openings at receiver. Torrey Gurley again had a terrific preseason game last week.
Well, and you see in Hazelton another big body in that receiving core. The Argos lacked that a little bit a year ago with the departure of Dontrell Inman, who joined the San Diego Chargers. Jason Barnes departing as well, another guy who had some height in that receiving core.
Look who's back in town. Adrian McPherson, the former Alouette quarterback, is going nowhere. On second and short yardage, there's not a chance he got that. But boy, it's been a couple years since we saw Adrian McPherson. And the last time we saw him, he was the heir apparent, at least you thought would have been the heir apparent to that man, Anthony Calvillo.
Yeah, backing up Anthony Calvillo.
Offside. Montreal, number 91. 5-yard penalty. First down, Toronto.
So moot point. They will get the first down, but McPherson is back, just signed as a matter of fact.
So from 2008 to 2012, Adrian McPherson was the backup quarterback in Montreal, led this team to a handful of victories. AC didn't miss a ton of time, quite frankly, during McPherson's stint as his backup. The guy who had been rumored en route to Toronto couple times earlier in his career.
Josie can't hang on. Well, McPherson was not only that, you know, when Anthony Calvillo was winding it down and riding off into the sunset, a lot of people felt that, well, Adrian McPherson would be the guy. And then the Alouettes went through a quarterback carousel to find finally their guy, which appears to be Jonathan Crompton.
Yeah, well, and again, building a little bit of depth at that position. Tanner Marsh, who's been here the last couple of years, he's on the 6-game injured list to start the season, but Crompton, the fever, Brandon Bridge as well.
Harris stands in. There's Josie again. Josie tries to reverse field, cannot. And again, it's Venable. Winston Venable, for a guy who came into the league predominantly as a special teams player, has certainly solidified this linebacking core, which is as good as any linebacking crew in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, Venable could get an opportunity to play a fair bit early in the season. Kai Hebert suffering a high ankle sprain. He looks like he's going to start the season on the injured list. But Venable played extensively last year in Hebert's absence, so they know they've got a guy that can step right in and play at a high level.
Julian Jones is back. Again, the Alouettes giving a lot of these returners and receivers looks here tonight. Jones going nowhere. Stuffed downfield as Jonathan Crompton gets ready to bring his offense back on. 4-point lead, preseason football on TSN. That was before the game, and that was Nick Lewis, longtime Stampeder. Dons the number worn by another great Alouette, Tracy Ham, now as a receiver. 82 taken by Jared Zaleski. So unavailable. But new team, new city, new number for Nick Lewis, who, it says a lot about Nick Lewis to be able to go right in the middle of a huddle and assume a role of leadership.
Yeah, and this, obviously, from an offensive scheme point of view, S.J. Green is still going to be the guy and is always going to be the guy. S.J. Green's not the most vocal guy. He's a guy who's going to go out and lead by example, and I think part of what Tom Higgins and Jim Popp wanted was a little bit more of a vocal presence in that receiving core and on that offensive unit in general. And there is no question that Nick Lewis is a guy capable of providing that.
Well, and some. And that's into the hands of another Argo defender. Akwasi Owusu will score.
Faster than you can say.
Akwasi Owusu. That was about a 35-yard pronunciation, I'm telling you. Well, how about this? The newcomers at the corners fighting for a position. Both have picks in this game. One for a touchdown. Akwasi Owusu out of Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Well, we spoke to Scott Milanovich yesterday about training camp and who some of the pleasant surprises have been. And these were the first couple of names out of his mouth, were these two young corners.
Well, kind of out of his mouth. He said Akwasi.
Yeah, AK, he called him.
Yeah. Owusu scores a touchdown.
AJ and AK
have done it all tonight. The defense has done it for the Argos, who now take the lead. Second pick, and Jonathan Crompton, who started pretty well. That was one he would love to have back. They're not getting it back. It went to the end zone. Argos lead 10-7. There's Jonathan Crompton talking with offensive coordinator Turk Schonert about what just happened. What happened?
Well, you're going to see a little bit of a zone defense here. Owusu Ansah, he's the corner out to the field. He's just dropping. Deep third, he's spying inside here. Tip ball that he's able to come up on, but he's got his eyes into the quarterback the whole way.
Oh, what a hit downfield. Tanya getting a chance to play a lot more now. And an absolute demolition of James Rogers. That train was called Tanya.
Just on the left side of your screen, finds a gap in the wedge.
Coach liked it.
Yeah, that's the kind of physical play you want to see from your special teams. That is what they call smash mouth football.
That is literally and figuratively smash mouth. Rogers slow to get up, as you might expect. Tanya was born in Cameroon, grew up here in the Montreal area. He is a national player. Played his college ball in Northern Colorado.
He and Brandon Bridge were actually at one point teammates at Alcorn State, but following a coaching change there, both transferred. Tanya to Northern Colorado, Brandon Bridge to South Alabama.
Tanya has been on the roster for the Argos. Really hasn't played much. Only 4 games last year, and that's the way to make yourself a household name with hits like that. Smash mouth football. Indeed.
And I'm sure this is one that there may be a conversation after the fact regarding a helmet-to-helmet hit.
Yes. I don't think Tanya was targeting the helmet, though. He was coming down. We'll have to take another look at it. But Rogers looked like he saw him at the very last moment. I don't know where he was looking, left or right. Here it is again.
If I'm James Rogers, my beef isn't with the guy that hit me. It's with my wedge that let a guy run right through.
So, you're getting an idea. Certainly not there, but we're going to get an idea tonight also on returns and the way they are going to change this year on punt returns. 5 interior linemen. The linemen have to stay until the ball is booted. Talk about that as the game progresses. That could really have an effect on the return game. Call it the Brandon Banks rule, as James Rogers has gone to the dressing room.
For the Montreal Alouettes, we talked off the top of this ball game about what the goal is in the second preseason game. Whether you're talking offense, defense, you want to see your guys get in a groove, see the starters getting a little bit of a rhythm, find their comfort zone, and then get them out of the game. Quite frankly, if Jonathan Crompton really seemed like he was on his game, he might be out by now. But I think Tom Higgins, Turk Schroeder, they want to leave him in there long enough to let him find a good spot as a quarterback.
Finally a completion to Boyu. Started 3 of 3 out of the chute and has gone 2 for his last 7. And will take his offense off the field because the Alouettes will have to kick. So concern in Montreal this year is certainly offensively, and despite what Crompton and the Alouettes did, they resurrected a season last year. They gave them hope, a playoff hope. Came down to the last game. They had to win, went to the playoffs. But still, the offensive numbers were so low. And off the side of his foot.
Out of bounds between the 20s, in addition to the fact that it's just a short kick.
Well, another double number. Number 8 tonight is Boris Bede from Laval University. Now, we have seen Boris Bede kick in college. We watched him a lot. He's a much better kicker than that.
Yes.
He is. We gave him that nickname, Boom Boom, for a reason.
Yeah, as strong a leg as you're going to see. Now, even though he played at Laval.
Legal kick out of bounds. Montreal, number 6. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Played at Laval, but Boris Bede is from France. He doesn't qualify as a national. He is an international, which makes it a little bit of an uphill battle for him trying to make a Canadian Football League roster. But the fact is, he's got such a freakishly strong leg that he's making some decisions tough for the Montreal Alouettes.
Argos back at it after a 17-yard kick and a 10-yard penalty. Moves the ball way into Montreal territory. That's Elliott with the grab down near the 25-yard line. You talked about the kicking job. You would have thought Sean White incumbent, but they have Bede in camp. They also have Drew Basel from Ohio State. We saw him kick in the pregame. And he can also launch them. And Tom Higgins said, hey, it could be any one of these guys. It's 1st and 10 again. 8.5 to go. Second quarter. Harris. That was tipped. It looked like John Bowman may have got his glove on it. John Bowman, Energizer Bunny, just keeps on ticking.
Yeah, well, there's some feeling a couple of years ago that maybe John Bowman was nearing the end, starting to slow down a little bit. Got off to a good start last season. Carried it the rest of the way through. As I mentioned earlier, they've got that deep rotation at defensive end, and I think for a veteran guy like John Bowman to be able to stay fresh as they roll guys through is a big help.
Far sideline for Josie. I've been impressed with Trevor Harris tonight, but you know what Harris can do. I've been really impressed with the Argos offensive line and the amount of protection that Harris has been afforded.
Yeah, and you always wonder a little bit how much teams are really showing from a scheme point of view here in the preseason. But regardless, Trevor Harris, 7 of 9, 63 yards. Solid job.
He will stay in, not to throw or to run, but to hold for Swayze Waters. 25-yard kick, already good from the 42. To give the Argos a 6-point lead. Swayze Waters has become money. Thursday night preseason football will continue from Montreal when we come back. Well, Ricky Foley, Darian Durant, Chad Owens, and Drew Willing join Rod Smith, Players Edition of Around the Table. What a great new feature on TSN. Our football coverage is here. Tune in tonight, 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific on TSN2. It's kind of like we're interlopers at a little dinner table. And Rod does a great job. I'd like to see you hosting that thing, but I don't think you'd be saying anything. Sorry.
Just sit back and absorb the information.
Just eating.
Yeah, I loved the one last week with the general managers.
Yeah, it's terrific TV. Tune in tonight. There's Jonathan Bryant, one of the twin 23s in the game today. He is cut down. Brandon Underwood. And Jonathan Crompton's night, it looks like, may be done. Dan Lefevre is coming into the game, the former Hamilton Tiger Cat.
Holding Montreal number 52.
Who actually, a couple of years ago,
Montreal
broke Montreal Alouette football fans' hearts.
Very true. Guided that Hamilton Tiger Cat offense to a playoff victory.
Lefevre, who got hurt last year, tore his ACL.
Yeah, wasn't ready for the start of camp. So he didn't play in the first preseason game. He had only been practicing for a couple of days prior to that. But in my opinion, the addition of Dan Lefevre, to me, ranks as one of the great off-season signings of this past winter.
This guy is the ultimate dual threat. Can throw, can run. Did it in Hamilton behind Henry Burris and then Zach Polaris. Who knows? He could become the starter here. Fred Stamp's first catch as an Alouette. Did not play in the first preseason game. I think we're going to say that a lot this year. Fred Stamps makes the catch.
You never want to put too much stock in a small sample. Dan Lefevre, handful of starts last year replacing an injured Zach Polaris in Hamilton. So this is a guy who completed over 70% of his passes, rushed for over 100 yards a couple of times. Dan Lefevre, obviously a guy who has all the tools to be a successful Canadian Football League quarterback, and may just get an opportunity here in Montreal.
That one overthrown. Turk Schonert said that Lefevre is going to have to shake some rust off. We have a penalty flag down on second down. Lefevre out of Central Michigan. He broke wads of records in college, rushing as a quarterback and throwing.
Yeah, highly
illegal
successful.
Contact. Toronto, number 8. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Shane Herbert, the penalty. It'll be first down, Alouettes.
Herbert, Canadian out of Wilfrid Laurier, out of that field corner spot.
And there it is, no contact again after 5, and contact anyway. Stamps out there wearing number 1, was number 2 for a long time in Edmonton. A wobbling toss and picked off, and going to the house will be Brendan Smith. Another pick 6 for the Argos here tonight. Well, Lefevre, a rocky start here. Wobbly football deflects into the hands of Brandon Smith. Romps in for the TD.
The Toronto Argonaut defense was reading Dan Lefevre's mail here, all the way off the fingertips of his former Hamilton teammate Sam Giguère, into the waiting hands of Brandon Smith, one of the few holdovers in this Toronto Argonaut secondary.
Well, an incompletion and an interception for Lefevre. 3 Alouette turnovers, and that was something that plagued them last year. Again, here is that 32-yard point after. It used to be automatic, they said. Might be a little bit different now. They moved that back. And now the Argos were down early in this game after the Alouettes scored on the opening drive, are up 20-7.
And you're going to see the intended receiver, Sam Giguère. He's trying to run that quick out. What you're going to get is Devin Smith, the halfback. He's going to come down on that. And I don't know if Sam Giguère's hearing footsteps there at all, or if he just mishandled that football, but it's off his fingertips. Mr. Brandon Smith there to scoop it up and take it to the house.
Well, if you are evaluating the Alouettes offense tonight, not a lot of check marks so far.
Struggling to find any continuity here. Granted, it is the preseason. Teams only get 2 preseason games, so it's not a lot of time. Playing against opposition, playing against live contact, full speed, etc.
Jonathan Bryant bobbling up to the 22-yard line. Keep in mind also in camp, no contact. A lot different than not too long ago. So you have to hurry up in a hurry to get regular season playing time. And keep in mind, 7 days from now, the Alouettes begin the season, and they're not going to have much time beyond cuts and everything else to get ready for that opening game.
Yeah, no, it's a quick turnaround. It's a hard way to start the season, really. It's what you would call a regular week, 7 days between games during the season. And that's fine when you get into your routine, but when you're doing it at the end of camp, it's a little bit different when you're dealing with making cuts and so on.
Well, you won't have a day tomorrow. You'll have to make your cuts on Saturday. Lefevre's in trouble now. Alouette chasing him to the far side for Terrell Sutton. Losing his helmet was Euclid Cummings out of Georgia Tech.
The pursuit on that play provided by one of the top rookies in the Canadian Football League a year ago, Tristan Opalaugo, out of Fresno State. This is a guy who you've got to believe is only going to get better as a football player. Still raw.
Fast, fierce, he's a beast. 2nd and 7. Pocket closes. There goes the football. Lefevre downfield for Dobson Collins. The Alouettes got a thing tonight about having players with the same numbers, don't they? Wearing Tisdale's. I'm thinking it's like doing a Notre Dame University football game.
Yeah.
Thank God for nameplates.
And we saw a tiny little tug there from Smith on the back of Collins' jersey. So they elect to let that one go.
Lefevre.
Well, we've seen Lefevre run around a little bit in that second or in that backfield.
There is a challenge flag that has been dropped on the far sideline by Tom Higgins. Tom, of course, came back to the Canadian Football League as a coach after spending years as the director of officiating in the CFL. Of course, coached in Calgary and Edmonton before that. Well respected. Boy, had a nightmarish start last year to the season. And then midway through, suddenly the light bulb went off for the Montreal Alouettes.
Yeah, it all seemed to come together. And the stability provided by Compton at quarterback. You see the Alouettes' new special teams coordinator, by the way, Kavis Reed, former Edmonton head coach. So we're looking at the matchup. Going down the hash. Collins is going to get to the inside on Smith. Now watch the right hand of Smith.
Right there. They got I think they got a case. This call could be overturned.
On the jersey for the zero tolerance, as it's basically been presented to us in terms of the contact beyond 5 yards. You've got a receiver trying to break away to get to the football and getting pulled from behind.
Here's the call.
After review, we have accidental pass interference, Toronto number 26. It's a 10-yard penalty. That will be a first down, Montreal.
That's something you're going to hear what Dave Foxcroft said. We really haven't heard that before. Accidental interference, that's what it's called now. And
he accidentally grabbed the back of his shirt.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
The rain, by the way, is starting to fall, as was in the forecast, so we'll see how it affects this game. So the Alouettes will continue this drive because of that accidental interference. Fever, shotgun. Now hands it off to Sutton. Alouettes without Luc Brodeur-Jourdain at center. That's a bit of a storyline here, a little bit nicked up. They had Christian Matt at center to start. Simon Legaré is also at center. That's not going to happen come week 1, though. They'll have their 5 pillars back.
Yeah, absolutely. Brodeur-Jourdain at center. The only change to what their O-line has been would be Philip Blake, the former Baylor University star, in for Ryan Bonham.
Up high it goes, and again, incomplete. So it'll be third down, and after all of that, the Alouettes will kick it away again. Yeah.
So new quarterback, same results thus far, it seems, for the Montreal Alouettes offensively.
There's Boris Bede, again, longtime kicker for Laval University Rouge-et-Or, Vanier Cup champion. Powerhouse. Let's see if he launches one here. The guy's got a ridiculous leg. Didn't see it last time. See it this time. Sending it back for Deontay Spencer. Spencer bounces one way, and down he goes at the 37-yard line. 2:40 to go before the half. 53-yard boot. 18-yard return. 3-minute warning before halftime. Scott Milanovich has a word for his quarterback.
Coming up at the half, we will take a look at Jonathan Crampton's performance through the first 2 quarters, as well as the penalties and how these new rules have affected them. But first, we go back to Montreal. Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
Thank you, Sarah Orleski. Filling in for Roderick tonight. Where's Smith? Hey, doesn't show up for the preseason.
Busy doing around the table.
Around the table. Trevor Harris, 7 of 9, make it 8 of 10. Andre Dury whipped out of bounds by Chip Cox. Rather roughly and into the cables, and we might see some flags here as Dury gets dusted down there. So do some of our techs.
I think Kevin Elliott went in. He didn't like the way Andre Dury was taken down by Chip Cox.
surprised there wasn't a flag after that, and I know it was a continuation of the play. But still, let's take a look at the play.
Andre Dury going to swing out, bubble screen from the slot, and turn it upfield. Chip Cox forces him out. Between Cox and Billy Parker.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Toronto, number 13. 15-yard penalty. The penalty came after first down was gained. It will be 1st and 10 Toronto.
Hey, get off my dog, man.
And that was the shot from, wow, our MVP, Antoine Sinclair. There it is. You win our award tonight, fella.
Bring back the Gladiators.
Yes, he gets it. Hey, and he wasn't wearing a helmet either. Way to go, Antoine. Right in the middle of it. See that? He didn't even lose his camera. Lost his headset.
That's commitment.
That is. Let's take a look at Antoine. There he is. You think it's tough to be a player? How about a camera guy on the sideline?
I'll tell you what, it's the preseason. You got to make the team.
He's still getting his. Whoa!
Antoine knows. You can't make the club in the top. You got to shake it off. Get back to work.
Look at. Are you okay, buddy? Are you all right? Give us a thumb or something. I think he's all right. He's wet.
Well, he's got visions of workman's comp dancing in his head.
I mean to laugh. That's not funny, but he hung in. Chad Owens makes his first catch of the preseason. Under 2 to go. You know, there's some tight confines here. I remember Iberwin Stadium, how close it was down there. That was a cameraman's nightmare.
Well, you remember that we used to occasionally do that 2 up, 1 down business with one commentator on the sideline.
Yeah,
what
happened to you?
They sent me to do that in Hamilton.
And?
Yeah.
Didn't go so well?
Yeah, that's not in my contract anymore, Blackie.
3rd down and 1. Argos will kick. Again, one of the Montreal Carabin Vanier Cup champions is back. Mikhail Davidson, 5th round pick, back near his 20-yard line. Way back near the 5. And dodging one, but not the other. Alusa Ansah downfield quickly to get Davidson. How about football in this area? You talk about the universities, obviously, Laval and Sherbrooke. Montreal winning at Vanier Cup.
To goal.
Also high school ball,
Montreal.
junior ball. Yeah. Quebec is a hotbed for this sport.
No question. No question. Some of the best football in the country, without a doubt.
Davidson, one of those players, as Lefevre makes his way out with a minute 28 remaining in the half. See if the Alouettes can do something offensively. They have not mustered much since that impressive opening drive. They've hardly moved the football.
The field position in which they currently find themselves doesn't exactly lend itself to opening things up offensively.
James Jurachuk getting ready, gearing up. Lefevre's in trouble. Down he goes. Well, he gets it out. As he threw it away in time. It was a pass. And Dan Lefevre got a whole lot. I think that was Opolugo on top of him. So now, 2nd down.
Keep an eye right on that right edge of your screen. The rush from Opolugo. Nice rip move getting underneath.
Lefevre was lucky to get it away. Here comes Opolugo again. There's a catch. Oh, no, almost. Samuel Giguère, talking about football heroes in this province. Giguère out of Sherbrooke went to Indianapolis in the National Football League for a short time. Then has been in Hamilton the last few years and comes over back in his home province to play with the Owls.
Well, Sam Giguère lining up in the slot here. Just curling in behind the linebacker, Jurachuk. Very nearly a fantastic one-handed stab.
Jaguar will help this team out considerably as well. Big play player. One of the quickest in the Canadian Football League. There's Spencer back. This is at his, make that the Montreal 50-yard line. So unless they give up 2, which it looks like they might.
Well, bearing in mind that you got 5 guys that can't cover until the ball is kicked.
And Drew Basil will give up 2, and that's another factor. 5 guys who can't get downfield, and that was Basil's first turn as kicker. He gives up the 2-point safety here. It's been a rough half, and I know it's only the preseason, but a rough one for the Owls.
A little bit, we're seeing some of the same issues that were maybe masked by the Alouettes' success down the stretch last season. An offense that hasn't been that consistent. Now the difference between that and what we've seen here tonight, and of course, as you said, it is one game and it's a preseason game. But the difference last year, at least, even if they didn't score a lot of points, they weren't turning over the ball.
No.
Whereas here, the offense is actually costing them with mistakes.
Yeah, they were middle of the pack in that area. Where they really lacked was in scoring points. They were 8th in the CFL for first downs, and this is a really good indication. First downs, they were dead last. Just could not sustain drives. Something they have to work on as the rain comes down hard now here at McGill. So the Argos are going to get it back. Deontay Spencer and Brandon Smith are back. There's Bede again with that big leg. Bede, in their previous preseason game, got a standing ovation. Well, he was back in his hood, Laval University. There's the boot. Big one again. Spencer. Oh, nailed it. Downfield quickly. Tyler Ellsworth. Welcome to the Canadian Football League.
This is just a perfect form tackle. Contact, wrapped him up, lifted, drove him down.
Well, the game within the game, that's a returner each that has been pummeled.
It's coming right down the hash. That's just a perfect tackle. Put that one on the teaching film.
Kyder Ellsworth from Michigan State.
Well, Jim Pop's alma mater.
Again, many of these players getting a chance tonight. One of those plays, you stick out on film or do something in a game that makes people take notice. You might not necessarily make the starting roster for the season, but you can hang around here. Sometimes that's all you need to do.
Well, you make plays like this, the one Kyler Ellsworth just did. You have to consider the way that rosters have expanded over the last several years with more opportunities for designated imports to play. And that's what Kyler Ellsworth would be, as a guy who's not going to be a starter defensively, but you can put him out there on every special team. He goes out and makes plays like that. You look at a guy like Dion Lacey in Edmonton, never a starter, but absolutely dominant kick cover guy, a guy that can change games, change field position for you by what he does in that kick coverage game.
And then look what Dion Lacey did when he had a chance to play regularly. Big tackle by Ellsworth. Spencer limps to the sideline. Minute 8 to go. Trevor Harris has gone the entire half. Has put up some good numbers. With Ricky Ray hurt, unavailable for 6 games. Here's another toss, and right into the hands of Kevin Elliott. Penalty flag. Mitchell White in coverage. That was a nice throw, though, from Harris. White a little too tight that time.
We've got the matchup on the outside. Elliott versus the corner. Mitchell White, he's going to take it down the sideline. He's got a half step on him.
They are saying this is offensive
pass interference.
Offensive
Toronto,
pass
number 13.
interference.
10-yard penalty.
So a push off.
First down.
Obviously from Elliott, that was caught by the official, and it wasn't Mitchell White. So that takes it back 10 yards. It'll be 1st and 20. Let's take another look.
Let's see if we can.
Must be right there.
Well, yeah, that left arm is concealed.
Threading the needle again. Andre Durham fumbled the football, and the Alouettes have it back. Chip Cox stripped Andre Dury of the football. Trevor Harris is saying, signaling up, get it going. Appears they may not have said this is a turnover.
I suspect the contention here will be that Dury was down.
And indeed may have been, so they'll keep it going. And whistles.
Challenge flag. Montreal challenged it before the ball was snapped. Trevor Harris tried to get the next play going in a hurry before the Alouettes had a chance to see it again.
So Tom Higgins threw the challenge flag again. And let's take a look. We'll get a good indication right here.
Yeah, Andre Dury coming across the middle, turns it up. Keep an eye on the knees. Still up, still up, still
looks
up.
like the ball's out.
Ball's out just before that left knee touches down.
That is a fumble. Ball's out right there.
Yep, ball's loose before the knees touched down. Clearly, good challenge from the Alouette sideline.
So the Alouettes likely are going to reverse the call on the field, which was a catch. Dave Foxcroft talking with CFL Command. And likely the Alouettes might get a little momentum here. They haven't had much, again, since the first couple minutes. And they've given up the ball 3 times. It looks like the Argos, this will be their first turnover. Bear Woods right in on the tackle. You know, you talked about special teams players and just hanging around. That's what Bear Woods was at one time. He is the epitome of what we talked about earlier. Bear Woods hanging around and then got hurt, and now he's one of the best linebackers in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah. Solomon Alamimian had his ridiculous number of tackles last season, but Bear Woods wasn't far off that pace, just played fewer games.
So having a chat with Chad Owens. It's taking a long time. 50 seconds to go. And it looks like they have reached their verdict. It should be a fumble.
After review on the play, the player was not down by contact. There was a fumble on the play, recovered by Montreal. It will be first down, Montreal.
So a couple of good challenges already for Tom Higgins here tonight. It's the only thing they've really won in the first half beyond the first drive. And so a chance to put some points on the board, though, with 50 seconds to go in this second quarter as the rain drives down here.
Yeah, and a great opportunity just from that evaluation preparation point of view for the Alouettes to see their offense working against the clock.
46 yards opening drive, only 46. 3 turnovers. Lefevre hangs in, far side.
Got to get it out there.
You wonder about the grip on the football right now as well, as he sent it out in the flat to number 22, Cody Hoffman, out of BYU. Key down here now. 46 ticks remain. Again, Lefevre hasn't seen action in 10 months after the ACL, so shaking rust off. New offense, getting acclimatized, and he's got the Argos in his face. There's a nice spiral there, a nice toss.
Dobson
Collins makes the catch inside the 10-yard line, and finally Dan Lefevre finds his man.
Well, Lefevre again afforded very good protection by that offensive line. Collins wide open down the sideline.
So it'll be 1st and goal from the 9-yard line. Plenty of time here to punch it to the house.
Don't be surprised to see Lefevre run it here.
And he throws to the far side for Giguère. Brought down by Devin Smith to the 3, so they'll be 3 yards away. Makes you wonder, too, though, how good is that knee for Dan Lefevre?
Yeah, well, we've seen him scramble. He's escaped a couple times in the backfield. Maybe avoiding, the predictability, perhaps, of the quarterback draw in this situation, as well as not wanting a play that's going to get stopped in the middle of the field when you want to get near the sideline where you can control the clock.
This is where Dan Lefevre excels, though, in this range right here. Play action.
Giguère didn't get out. Clock's ticking.
18 seconds. Here comes the rush. There goes Lefevre. Lefevre's in trouble. Throws it away. And 10 seconds to go. Now, will they kick for the points? Or again, preseason, you want to get this offense working and continue on. You're down 22-7. I say, why not go for it?
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, you have nothing to lose by going for it. You want to work on your offense more than you need to see your field goal kicker attempt. What, 9, 10-yard kicks?
Yeah, especially an offense that has not been clicking at all since that opening drive.
Yeah, I think you've got to take every opportunity. Now, it actually looked to me there like Dan Lefevre, had he taken off, he looked like he might have had a shot to get in on his own there. He seemed to have broken contain of the defensive line.
3rd and goal. Can they find the end zone? No!
Dropped.
A drop by Hoffman. That's the kind of drop that could send you out of town.
Yeah, a team with a lot of competition and depth at receiver. You can't afford those mistakes.
That is a touchdown. That is a touchdown by every bit of imagination. Unable to hang on, and Cody Hoffman. That one will be etched in his mind for a long time.
Yeah, you can't fault Dan Lefevre at all there. He put that ball right where it needed to be. Stood in, took a hit.
Hoffman made a great catch, remember, in the opening drive. Looked good. Another catch later, not this time. And again, a team already with a wealth of receivers. You can't drop that football. Adrian McPherson's going to take the knee and take us to halftime. Argonauts looked a little shaky early on, but then their defense, their secondary came to play here tonight. A couple of newbies, some big picks.
Well, Jordan Younger's got to be happy with the performance of his young DBs. A.J. Jefferson.
Brandon Smith had a touchdown, so too Akwasi Owusu-Ansah. 22-7 at the half. Thursday Night Football. Let's send it back to Sarah Orleski. Well, people underneath cover. Driving rain continues. Preseason game continues tonight. Argos lead the Montreal Alouettes 20-7. Heading to the second half here at McGill tonight. Here is John Liu with Montreal head coach Tom Higgins.
Tom, which quarterback will start second half for you?
Well, we got the second unit going in, and so Dan will be starting the second half.
Despite the long layoff of game action for him, what did you think of his first half thus far?
Well, I don't think either quarterback played up to our expectations, and so hopefully he can settle down, get into a groove, and move the football a little bit for us here.
Yeah, thanks for this, Tom.
You're welcome.
Johnny Liu must be hating this. Hey, that's the first time I've ever seen him damp. Damp down there.
Yeah, well, you know what I say. Better him than us.
There is Dan Lefevre warming up sidelines, so we'll see more of him. We may even see Brandon Bridge come into the game a little bit later. Rakeem Cato also in the lineup. Bridge, of course, the Canadian quarterback, did have one play in the first half. So the Alouettes, who started the game on an impressive drive and led 7-0, have not scored since. Jonathan Crompton done for the night. Likely the starter. A week from today against the Ottawa Red Blacks when the real stuff begins. Sean White kicks off our second half here tonight. Spencer again being tracked down. Deontay Spencer now kicking it outside. Big speed. And knocked out of bounds, and a penalty flag as well after. Nick Shorthill, another one of the duplicate numbers here tonight, knocking him out of bounds, but a nice return by Deontay Spencer.
A terrific return.
Major foul. Montreal, number 15, unnecessary roughness. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So now into quarterback. Trevor Harris's night is done. What an impressive performance for him. Mitchell Gale out of Abilene Christian has been a third stringer for the Argos. Handoff to Lyle McCombs. McCombs is an interesting story.
Share it with us, Rod.
He was... Thank you. There's a lot of interesting stories in the second half. He was cut by the Argos, and then when Curtis Steele went down, he was given a call back and said, can you come back and play? There he is, number 25. And so he's getting a second chance for the Argos. 2nd and 9. Gale over the top. Again, the Argos picked off 3 Alouette passes in the first half. Trevor Harris's numbers, though, off the charts. And I know it's only preseason, but that's a heck of a night.
In terms of efficiency, and as Scott Milanovic said, managing the football game. You know, I know Schultze's pouting a little bit back in the studio. We wanted to see him throw the deep ball a little bit. But again, it's your backup quarterback, a young quarterback, in terms of what his game plan is going to be. It is going to be more about managing the game and protecting the ball.
They go for it, 3rd and 6, and Gale looks like he's going to get the first down. As he is tripped up, slow to get up as well as Mitchell Gale, and that will happen in the preseason. They will go at it on 3rd down quite often. Again, instead of kicking, getting a chance to let their offenses get a little rhythm, and Gale continues the drive.
Yeah, steps up, sees an opportunity to go, tripped up. The rookie out of McMaster, Nick Shorthill.
Shorthill out of McMaster, as Dwayne said, a 2nd-round pick by the Alouettes. There's McCombs out of Rhode Island. Looks like Gale gives the thumbs up to the sideline. Looks like he might have been banged up a little bit. 4-yard scoop for McCombs, 2nd and 6.
Mitchell Gale looking to put a secure hold on the number 3 quarterback position here for the Toronto Argonauts. Logan Kilgore, the Argos' other quarterback, not on the trip.
Gale slings it out for Spencer. So in the second half of preseason game, it really comes down to short strokes now. This is your final 30 minutes to make an impression for many of these players, to do something that will keep you employed for the next little while. There was another penalty flag on that toss, that incomplete pass. Let's see what it is.
I think there may have been some rough housing back behind the play here.
Looks like the offense is going to stay on the field here. It might have been a late hit.
Well,
helmet did come off.
The timing of the flag came as soon as Tyler Holmes took his helmet off, it looked like.
Objectional conduct, disqualification, Montreal, number 72. 10-yard penalty, first down.
But you see the reaction. Initially, you think it's going to be Holmes taking his helmet off, but you watch the way he takes it off. I think he got spit on.
Darren Kitchens, number 72, is out of the ball game. He's waving goodbye, and that might be goodbye for good. And apparently we're hearing from the sideline it might have been a spitting incident. So this will continue the drive. 1st and 10. Inside the red zone. Well, that was something completely off kilter if you're trying to make a football.
Well, exactly. You just threw away. You just threw away your opportunity. You get the sense he may as well go straight to the airport.
Aisle or window. So they're still sorting this out. 12-12 to go. Again, if you're just joining us, TSN tonight and down south on ESPN3, CFL preseason action. Get it all started a week from tonight. Big picture in your mind. Teams to beat, obviously, Calgary out west with Edmonton. How about out east, though?
Well, I think the East, much as it was last year, a little bit more wide open. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have to be favorites coming into the season.
Is a half the distance foul. It will be first down.
But the Ticats are going to need to shake that injury bug at some point. Fortunately, they do have the depth that they've been able to manage thus far. But not a whole lot of good luck for the Tiger Cats through training camp.
Mitchell Gale hands to McCombs. So Lyle McCombs, who's got second life in the Canadian Football League in the preseason, getting a call back again with Curtis Steele down and out for a while. We haven't seen Anthony Coombs yet tonight, the former #1 pick who got hurt last year out of Manitoba.
Yeah, and Anthony Coombs was a little nicked through training camp, so the Argos may look to just protect him until the regular season.
Because he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and he's a guy Scott Milanovich talked about, the need to get him some touches this year.
2nd and goal, play action, Gale. Oh, big hit.
Well, Xander Robinson couldn't have been in a much more vulnerable position than he was. Fully outstretched, reaching for the ball.
Cliff Coleman. Again, if you're following numbers, that's the second number 22 in the game for Montreal. And Xander is upended by Cliff Coleman. Another wobbly football out of the release from Gale.
You saw that right knee buckle in a little bit on contact.
And right away they are working on Xander Robinson. It'll be 3rd and goal when we come back. They'll continue to attend to the big man out of Western. We'll come back to Montreal.
MC.
Costly preseason game tonight for the Argos. Not only on the scoreboard, they already lost to Keem Wonder, and now Xander Robinson looks like his night is done after this hit by Cliff Coleman.
Yeah, and Coleman, I know, as a fullback coming out of the backfield, you get frustrated sometimes as you're out in the flat and smaller guys are going to take you low, and you always want them to take you up high where they're not going at your legs, but at the same time, as a smaller guy, you're creating your own mismatch if you try to go high on a big body.
There's a touchdown. Deontay Spencer on a bullet from Mitchell Gale. The Argos have the end zone again.
And the Argos are going to take advantage of that 2-point convert from the 3-yard line, which I anticipate we will see a lot of this season. Deontay Spencer doing a nice job now as a receiver after having a couple of pretty nice returns earlier in this ball game. Nice over-the-shoulder catch, adjusting to that ball on the go.
Well, the first touchdown toss and catch from Deontay Spencer from Mitchell Gale. Two-point convert moves to the 3-yard line under the new rules from the 5. So they'll work on this, and they do as McCombs over the shoulders it. And it's all Argos here tonight. Defensively and now offensively, Mitchell Gale adds to the tally. 30-7, Toronto.
Nice drive put together here by Mitchell Gale. Aided by the penalty to Ketchens. Throws first that strike to Deontay Spencer in the end zone. And then nice touch pass on the 2-point convert to hit Lyle McCombs in the flat.
It's all going wrong for the Alouettes here tonight. Offensively, they can't get anything going. Then disciplinary, they have a player that keeps a drive alive by spitting at another guy. 9 plays, 76 yards, and it took up a lot of the clock.
Well, 4 minutes, 3 seconds. Here in the third quarter.
Hey, 2-5. I see you. Hey, let me get something.
Montreal about to get their first touch of the quarter here.
Chandler Jones is back. Another audition here. He's brought down. Jacob Lacey with the tackle on the special team.
Story of the first half was the pilfering Argos secondary. 3 interceptions, 2 of them returned for touchdowns. A couple first-year guys and a second-year guy making the plays on the back end for the double blue.
And their first offensive touchdown comes in the second half. They're rolling. Dan Lefevre still at quarterback. Brandon Rutley, running back now. Here's what they've done in the preseason so far. Not so good.
As Tom Higgins mentioned at halftime, somewhat underwhelming, below expectations. You'd certainly think going into the season, based on what he did last year, Jonathan Crompton's going to get a chance as the starter. So this may be an ongoing comparison between these two guys.
There's Lefevre as he was tracked down from behind. Dante Moak out of Nevada chased him down. This is what Lefevre does best, though.
Yeah, gets on the move. Lefevre, former high school running back. First started playing football.
Shotgun again. Handoff. Rutley shakes one. Runs right into his teammate Chandler Jones. Otherwise, he might have been able to peel off another 5 or 6. It'll be second and about a half yard.
Rutley, former Hamilton Tiger Cat out of San Jose State, joined the Alouettes last year. Got a bit of an opportunity when Brandon Whitaker was injured.
Up the gut on second down. The Alouettes will not use it, but they do have a lot of built-in excuses as well in preparation for the season, which has been really difficult. This weather we see tonight, this has been commonplace in Montreal the last few weeks during training camp. They've had to practice indoors. Tom Higgins was telling me yesterday that, it's been awful. They just haven't been able to get up to speed, and they're hoping that could change over the next week. Stuff like that can happen. And The cadence threw the Argos off. They jumped. Again, some newcomers. This is the time where you get a lot of subs in.
5-yard penalty remains. First down.
This is the last chance saloon for a lot of these subs too.
Yeah. Well, there's some confusion that led to that time count for the Alouettes. You can see some of the receivers not understanding where they needed to be aligned for that play. Dan Lefevre very quickly talking to Cody Hawkins as after the play was whistled down.
Central Michigan star hands off again to Riley. Carries a pile with them. I would think for a guy like Dan Lefevre too that when you haven't played in 10 months, you just want to get your feet under you a little bit here. Just try to get some action.
Get in the groove.
Get to know what it feels like again.
Yeah. For sure, get in the rhythm. By the way, I think I just called Cody Hoffman Cody Hawkins.
It's okay, it's preseason.
The son of former Alouettes head coach Dan Hawkins.
Well, I'll tell you what. I feel for the fans tonight who may not have programs and they think they're watching a number 22 and somebody else or a 23. That's all part of the preseason, though. The first preseason game, which we've had a couple of those already, when you have about 100 players out there, and you got 2 players wearing the same number without nameplates, that gets very interesting. That's not something you'd like to see in the regular season, but it's all part of the process. You've gone through this before, and I'll tell you what, it's a cruel process as well. As we've seen with injuries and cutdowns, you might be one of the most gifted athletes at camp. Not seeing the football in 2 preseason games, guess what?
Yep.
You're gone.
Yeah, limited opportunity to show what you can do.
Miserable night here.
As we said, it is a short training camp as well.
3rd down and 2. Will they give it to Rutley? No. On the far side is Bryant, who scored the first touchdown, and he fumbled the football as he was smacked hard. And the Argos force another turnover. It doesn't matter. It would be a turnover and downs anyway. Argo football. 6:11 to go in the 3rd. Argo football. All Argo football tonight. Taking it to the Alouettes. You know, it's been a couple of steps forward, a couple step back night for the Alouettes. Jonathan Bryant early in the ball game had a touchdown, this time on a bit of an end around. He never really had a good grasp early, and that kind of affected the play. And then he was rocked.
Yeah, and I got the sense watching that one, you've got different quarterbacks, different cadences, that the timing seemed a little off. It seemed like Bryant, trying to time that up with Lefevre, got there a little early, and that affected the tidiness of the handoff.
Lyle McCombs, we talked earlier about how difficult it is just to make the grade, stick around, and make the final roster, which will be declared on Saturday. But imagine trying to do it, Lyle McCombs, trying to do it also in inclement weather.
Yeah, well, for any of these guys, it's far from ideal conditions, but at the same time, as coaches, you're looking for guys who are able to block that out, who are going to persevere and deal with it.
McCombs in the backfield again. Nick St. Gale. They're giving McCombs a lot of looks here, are they not? 2nd down and 3. Had to get to the 53. Let's see where the spot is. They're saying it's a 1st down. They will move the sticks.
Well, I think there's a bit of a commitment for the Argos in this ball game as well. With the injury to Curtis Steele, that they need to evaluate their running backs. They want to see these guys run the ball, and so they've been pretty consistent with that part of their game plan throughout. I think the other side of it too is if you're in a position to do it, you want to let your offensive line get in that rhythm running the football, and quite frankly limit the number of hits that your quarterback is going to take.
Gale, that's a live football. That was thrown behind Mateo Jay. That looked like a live football from this vantage point if it's thrown backwards and Gale wants to get everybody set. Jay is hurt. Let's take a look. If it's thrown behind, it's a lateral. It's a live football. Let's take a look if it is indeed. Boy,
that looks
close.
like it's pretty close To me, I thought it went backwards a little bit. When you look at where Mitchell Gale is. So he's basically standing right on the line. Real close to the way that Jay reaches back for that ball.
The ruling on the field is a fumble, immediately recovered by Montreal. First down, Montreal.
You saw the official on the sideline signaling it right away. The side judge made a good call there. Alouettes finally catch a break.
Here you're going to see another look. The bubble screen to Nate. So rule to catch here. And then as soon as he gets up, you see as he's trying to get up and run, ball pops loose. Alouettes recover. Montreal ball. Not sure the Argonauts couldn't have tried to challenge that as an incompletion, saying that he trapped it on the initial catch.
More reps for Lefebvre. Floater. Big hit on the sideline.
That's Alex Charette, the rookie out of Guelph. One of Montreal's 2015 draft choices.
4th round pick, 36th overall for Charette.
Sharing the number 17 with Billy Parker.
Did they just use everybody else's uniform? Is that the secondary uniform here tonight? Just change the nameplate? Everybody gets their uniform, their own number in preseason. There's Rutley. And penalty flags fly. Rutley chased down by Travis Hawkins. 3.5 to go, third quarter. Last chances for many of these players in their audition. Not for Rutley so much, but there is a battle for running back.
Montreal, number 60. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. Second down.
Here's the other thing, that a lot of scouts are also here tonight, like vultures, ready to pick on the cuts. And if somebody gets released, there's an opportunity that you might land elsewhere.
Well, you never know. Might not be a fit, whether in terms of skill set or just the numbers game. Quite frankly, where another team may have a need.
2nd and 14. Argos line up for the rush. Here they come. Lefebvre stands in, has his man, Dobson Collins. He's made a couple of big catches here tonight. But now it's 3rd down and 3rd and looks like 8. Looks like Sean White is going to come back in, boot the ball back. White will punt from near his 50-yard line. Deontay Spencer getting the signal from the sideline. He's going back near his 10. White looks to angle this one. Good kick. Great kick. Again, under the new rules, those 5 guys on the line have to hang in until the kick is launched. Didn't matter. It was a great kick. Chamber Bay, the West Coast. Link style golf tomorrow, 2nd round. 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I know, Dwayne Ford, you being a golf aficionado.
Only the miniature variety.
Presented
King of the windmill hole, baby.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, then, why don't you do this? This is Henrik Stenson, Dustin Johnson.
Old Dusty, yeah.
Son-in-law of Wayne Gretzky. Brad Fritsch from
Ottawa.
Yeah, there you go.
The nation's capital, home of the Red Blacks.
Yeah, he is the top Canadian. I think you got a future in golf announcing. Just add a little British lilt to it. Soft music.
A little more soft.
And softly. Whisper. Anyway, 2nd round tomorrow. They are still playing at Chambers Bay. Pacific Northwest. First time ever. Ryan McCombs. Make that 2:15 to go here in the third quarter. 30-7 is the score here.
The way this rain is coming down, if I was a veteran player with my job secured and I'm not playing in the second half,
what would you do?
I'd fake an injury and go to the room.
Yeah,
seriously. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But I know guys who would have.
You don't want to name names?
I wouldn't name names.
No. Gale's in trouble, and down he goes. Mitchell Gale sacked. One of the bright spots tonight for the Alouettes. Corvey Irvin in on the play. Wrapped him up and brought him down. Argos again with a pair of pick sixes in the first half. Mitchell Gale with a touchdown pass in the second half. Swayze Waters, will he give up two? Or will he boot it out? He's going to kick it. Chandler Jones gathers it. Has the sideline and a cutback. Nice play. Chandler Jones down inside the 25-yard line. And so the Alouettes offense try to find the end zone again for the first time since the opening drive. And here comes Air Canada.
The pride of Mississauga, Ontario, out of St. Marcelina Secondary School.
He's been on the radar for quite some time. Again, went to Alcorn State, then South Alabama. Did not get drafted in the National Football League. Did in the CFL and has a chance, a serious chance, to make the roster and play. Brandon Lovely brought down by Matt Ware. How good is this kid?
Brandon Bridge has all the tools. You talk about a dual threat quarterback. This is a guy who can run, cannon for an arm. I know the knocks on Brandon Bridge have had to do with his footwork, his accuracy.
It's pretty good footwork.
You know, and I'm not going to try to create unrealistic expectations for Brandon Bridge, but I think people have at times had the same criticisms of a guy named Henry Burris, who's carved out a pretty good career for himself in this league.
Last play, third quarter upcoming. Chat with Ron Higgins yesterday.
Number 7.
So a time count violation. He said it's interesting to note that he was at the University of Calgary and then with the Stampeders when a guy named Greg Vavra was around. One of the last Canadians to really play full-time as a quarterback. Get some time at quarterback in the CFL. Will there be another, and will his name be Brandon Bridge? There's a completion over the top. Jean-Samuel Blanc, Montreal Carabin. Final play, third quarter. Looks like we're going to see more of the Mississauga quarterback when we come back into the fourth quarter. Alouettes scored on their opening drive and haven't scored since. Down 30-7. Thursday Night Football on TSN. Preseason style will continue. Final 15 minutes of preseason football before the real stuff begins next week. Regular season, 30-7 Argos, the big number. Those 5 turnovers by the Alouettes. 3 picks in the first half, 2 for touchdowns. But normally preseason, a conversation kind of drifts to quarterbacks and Canadian-born quarterbacks. We've always looked for that next great Canadian quarterback. Never mind next Canadian quarterback. Might his name be Brandon Bridge?
Yeah, I think Brandon Bridge is as good a Canadian quarterback prospect, in all honesty, as there's ever been. And people are going to say, well, what about a guy like Jesse Palmer? Yeah, Jesse Palmer is a terrific quarterback, but when I look at what Brandon Bridge's tools are, what his skill set is, I think Brandon Bridge, quite frankly, is a guy whose skills may be more suited to the Canadian Football League even than Jesse Palmer's were.
Here is Boris Bede. Thunderfoot trying to make the team. Rouge Or puts it through. 30-10. Well, you know, at one point, the conversation maybe came around every couple of years or 4 years about a young quarterback who got a chance to maybe just come to training camp. It was kind of, lack of a better word, sort of a token thing that a Canadian gets a chance to play. We're seeing a lot more quarterbacks play. Andrew Buckley was in Calgary's camp.
Yeah, did a nice job last week.
Did a nice job. Kyle Quinlan had an opportunity the last few years. There have been so many good CIS quarterbacks. Brandon Ridge, he cut his teeth in the NCAA.
Yeah, and Brandon Ridge, ironically, at the University of South Alabama, the initials USA, one of his teammates there was actually another Canadian quarterback, Miles Gibbon, who later transferred to York University, attended the CFL Combine a couple of years ago. But Montreal has been one of the teams that has been fairly committed to the Canadian quarterbacks. Kyle Quinlan actually is still on their suspended list after they had he and Kyle Graves out of Acadia in camp a couple of years ago. Graves still here as a receiver.
Time count violation.
Kyle
Toronto,
Graves.
number 4. 5-yard penalty.
Like Brad Sinopoli, the Heck Crichton winner from a few years ago, who is now a receiver in Ottawa, was with Calgary. So quite often some of those talented Canadian quarterbacks find other positions as well, including the safety for the Montreal Alouettes, Marco Briette, who was a quarterback in Montreal. Former Alouette quarterback Adrian McPherson is in. In his time, Adrian McPherson was a short yardage guy, a running guy. Was the backup, of course, to Anthony Calvillo.
Yeah, 2008 to 2012. Played here with the Alouettes. As he said, played regularly in those short yardage situations, with a handful of starts along the way. And Adrian McPherson was a guy who did a lot of the damage with his legs. I'm not sure a couple years later his game will have changed much. His Arena League statistics suggest not. But the Argos looking for a veteran presence in their quarterbacking group with the injury to Ricky Ray, something of a security blanket, basically a safety net with the relatively untested Trevor Harris. You can't call him a rookie because he has been around for a few years now as a backup with the Argos, but untested.
Well, Mitchell Gale was technically their short yardage guy, and you wonder now, depending on what happens with Logan Kilgore, if it's Harris, then Gale, maybe McPherson, if they hangs around, might be that guy. Or not. Chandler Jones fumbled the ball, but it's going to be no yards here. Doesn't matter. No yards called against the Argos. It will be Montreal football when we come back. Argos cruising in this preseason tilt in Montreal.
Well, we're starting to see some of the Montreal Alouettes 2015 draft choices making their way into the lineup here. Offense on the field right now. One of their first rounders, offensive lineman Jacob Ruby, in at left tackle. He's joined there by right tackle James Badanis out of Michigan State, former University of Toronto transfer. Of course, Brandon Bridge, the quarterback, 4th round pick. There you see big Jacob Ruby.
There's a handoff to Steph Logan. Bursts up the middle. Again, Logan primarily right now on returns. Returned one last week for a big gainer, but was called back. This is a guy who can bring it to the house every time he touches the football. Little Steph Logan, who left the BC Lions, of course, to try to make it in the National Football League.
There you saw a nice little kick-out block from the left tackle, Ruby. 4-year starter for the Richmond Spiders. Same program that gave the Montreal Alouettes receiver Danny Desrivaux.
Simon Legaré is down, former 1st round pick.
Here, Jacob Ruby at the Canadian Football League Combine.
Lock him out. 4, 5, 6.
Fear the beard.
It's a big thing now. Everybody's got them.
Ruby, a guy who's a great fit for these Montreal Alouettes. You see the young guys getting a few words from O-line coach Chris Sweet. The team playing that all-Canadian offensive line, looking for Canadian tackles.
And here's the rub on all those draft picks. They stick around. Generally stick around, especially O-linemen. This playing time, invaluable. Preseason playing time, invaluable, just to get a sense of the speed of the game, the rhythm of the game. Even though they've played CIS, some have played NCAA, of course.
Well, in some cases, these guys may not see actual game action for another year. They're going to be developing in practice, whether on injured list, practice rosters, whatever the team may choose to do to keep them around. But this may be their only live game action until they try to earn a roster spot or a full-time job again next year.
And this is the same kind of action that Josh Burke got, Jeff Parrott got, Luc Brodeur-Jourdain got, all of the guys, the veterans, got at one time. Unless they made an immediate impact. You see the size of Ruby on that line. There he is, behemoth. There's another flag on the play, back at 55-yard line.
Too many men in the formation. Montreal, 10-yard penalty, remains second down.
All the rule changes we talk about. One of the interesting concepts that was developed again for the Canadian Football League, really to help protect the umpires, is the positioning of the umpire. Remember where the umpire was right in the middle of the play. That's no longer the case.
What do you think about last year when we saw Ben Major?
How many plays were even run right through using that umpire as almost a pick? I don't see that anymore. There's nobody there, as you can see in the middle of the defense. The umpire is back with the referee.
Time count violation, Montreal, number 7. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
So the young Canadian quarterback struggling with the time count right now. That's 2 now.
Well, these are some of the issues you get into as the substitutions start and the younger, less experienced players are in the game. It's not strictly on the quarterback. In some cases, it may be other guys in breaking the huddle, not understanding where they're supposed to be, not understanding alignment or assignment.
Bridge gets out of trouble, dances, had his man, unable to hold on, was Jonathan Bryant. Like a pretty good toss, but again, a wet football here. Rain continues to pelt down. How about these fans here? How hardy are they?
Yeah, hardy is one word for it.
Yeah, sticking around in the rain, preseason football.
I mean, it has been pouring basically since the start of the third quarter. Not drizzling, but pouring down.
Drew Basil is back. Spencer able to hang on, so getting a chance to make their presence felt. Draft pick Jacob Ruby, first rounder, looked pretty good here tonight. Canada's quest for gold continues Sunday. Round of 16 against Switzerland. The Women's World Cup. Live coverage from Vancouver, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on CTV and TSN4. Good night to be a poncho salesman. Hasn't stopped raining. Adrian McPherson. Hand off to Lyle McCombs. Again, next week it all gets underway. The new season, more intrigue. The new season in many ways. A lot of changes, new rules in place, new faces in places, and a new commissioner in Jeffrey Orridge. I know he's impressed you.
It's certainly some fresh new ideas coming into the Canadian Football League.
Here's the rush. McPherson lets it fly, and it's picked off. Terry Johnson. Another interception here tonight. This time for Montreal. They
all just underthrown from Adrian McPherson.
Out of Florida A&M. One of the few blemishes for the Argo quarterbacks here tonight. So the Alouettes try to pull a little closer. Brandon Bridge stays at the helm. Looks like the rain has subsided. Another ball that was very catchable. Julian Jones over the middle. Would like that one back.
No, we've seen a few drops from the Alouette receivers here tonight. Not to make excuses for the quarterbacks at all, but by our count, that's the 5th drop. Impacting the statistics of Crompton, Lefevre, and now Bridge.
Talented quarterback. Unproven at the CFL level, at the pro level. Brandon Bridge now dances, throws. No one home. Well, Brandon Bridge has shown that ability to get out of trouble, the escape ability. Unable to find a target, though.
And again, that ability to buy time in the pocket, make plays with his legs, a big part of Brandon Bridge's game. Here, just the throw gets away from him as he's looking to try and find another Alouette draft pick, Mikhail Davidson, across the middle.
Well, here is Drew Basil out of Ohio State with a lengthy kick here.
Timeout, Toronto.
Timeout here for the Argos.
They're icing him.
Well, Boris Bede will hold for Basil, who has a very strong leg. This is from the 49, it looks like. Argos maybe trying to set up a return. Didn't have their personnel out there as well. Battle for the kicking position continues. Spencer goes to the end zone. It is from the 49. Snap is low, kick is up, and it's way off. Spencer might have a chance here. He will. Now he cuts back and is able to pick his way out to the 13-yard line. Well, bad snap, bad hold, wet ball, bad combination, missed kick.
Bring cameras with you still, man. What's up, Coach? How you doing? How are you? How's it going? Going very well. Yourself? Good. Huh? Looking good. Trying. Getting any sleep?
There you can. No, I did not.
You got a newfound respect for us, though.
Oh my goodness. Ridiculous.
Scott Milanovich, who used to mentor and help coach Anthony Calvillo when he was with Montreal, and Calvillo, whose name, number on the level of excellence here, Ring of Honor. His former backup. We have whistles here. Anthony Calvillo, without a doubt, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, broke all the records.
Offside, Toronto, number 89. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Now the receivers coach here in Montreal. I don't think that surprises you too much.
Well, no, I think everybody anticipated that Anthony Calvillo, after a year away, he wanted to take some time and have a little bit of distance from it. I think last year he just would have been too closely removed from the team to jump right into coaching. So now another year having gone by. What a a great opportunity to be a receiver.
There's McPherson scampering out. So I want to ask you, do you think AC, who is known for his work regimen, coming in at 4:30 in the morning, doing all that studying, do you think he put more work and time in watching film and studying as a quarterback or as an assistant coach, which they say is unbelievable, the amount of video that you watch?
Yeah, well, that was the conversation you heard between Calvillo and Scott Milanovich about the hours that assistant coaches put in. And I would say certainly for Anthony Calvillo, maybe less of an adjustment, as you alluded to, than for most players.
2nd and 8. Big toss here. And an overthrow. As Adrian McPherson tries to shake off the rust away from the game for a couple of seasons. It's hard to really say. I mean, I know the coaches in the boxes up here, and the coaches on the sideline probably look at this a little bit differently, and we'll break it down. Have there been any players that really impressed you tonight? You went like, oh, okay, you got a really good chance to make this team.
Yeah, well, one of the guys that to me has stood out a little bit by making a couple of plays has been Deontay Spencer, a guy who's contributed both in the return game and as a receiver. From an offensive point of view for Toronto, obviously, you know, the young Toronto defensive backs came in very highly regarded, and I think that they lived up to that.
Fumble football. Alouettes got it back. And A.J. Jefferson certainly may have punched his ticket to employment. Akwasi Owusu-Ansah as well. What about for Montreal? Is it a little tough to gauge? They really haven't had much offensive rhythm at all.
Yeah, I think offensively for sure it has been a little bit of a challenge for guys to have an opportunity really to prove themselves. And you have a guy like James Bryant who made a couple plays but also made a couple mistakes.
Giving the Canadian a full quarter here. Stopping in his tracks in the backfield was Brandon Rutley. But let's take a look at the Montreal offense. They do have some staples on their O-line. Nobody's moving there. Nick Lewis likely isn't getting cut, nor is Fred Stamps, nor is Sam Jaguar. So there's three guys right there. S.J. Green's going nowhere. So
ever.
You know, maybe a bit of a Brandon Whitaker, certainly your incumbent running back. Terrell Sutton and Brandon Rutley will be around.
This is a team, when you look at the way they finished last season, not a lot of jobs up for grabs.
No. There goes Bridge again. Brandon Bridge taking off and takes a big hit as he was going down. Looked like maybe even a knee to the helmet. He's all right. But impressive so far, his ability to get out of that pocket.
Well, I think one of the things you have to realize about Brandon Bridge, and believe me, I think he's going to get every opportunity to compete as a quarterback in the Canadian Football League. But as a fourth-round pick, a pretty safe pick for the Montreal Alouettes, because you're talking about a guy who is, without question, among the elite athletes in the draft class. No doubt in my mind that Brandon Bridge, much like Brad Sinopoli, could convert and be a pretty decent receiver as well.
Sure like to see someone, though, stay at that quarterback position. Maybe down the road he might be one of those guys. 6:18 to go. Adrian McPherson comes back out again. The Argos had a few more decisions to make, though, really, than the Alouettes. Keep in mind, they didn't make the playoffs last year. I think Trevor Harris, obviously, is going to be the starter moving forward. Ricky Ray's down for a while. But at receiver, Chad Owens is certainly there. Andre Dury is there. Then you've got a lot of guys coming in here who Scott Milanovich wants to take a good look at.
Yeah, and a commitment to add some size to that group. Again, they've lost John Childs, they've lost Jason Barnes, they lost Spencer Watt.
And there's one of those receivers. Kenneth Shaw out of FSU makes the grab. Talked about Torrey Gurley in the game. He did not make any catches. He had 7 in the first preseason game, none in this game, and he played in the first half. but may have impressed enough last week to earn a job.
Yeah, one of the guys working with the first unit already at this stage. Saw Kevin Elliott out there a lot with the first group as well.
Here's an open man. Nice catch. Matea J. Toronto receiver.
Hometown plug-in, another Mississauga native.
Okay, so what is the over-under going to be on plugs for Mississauga or Western this year?
Well, can we get Daryl Watt in the game?
Yes.
Because I really haven't had a chance to talk my Mustangs much yet.
And Jay, a former third-round pick, he has a good chance to also be a big factor in this offense.
Well, Spencer Watt departing, Mike Bradwell retiring, leaves an opportunity for a Canadian receiver.
McPherson's looking good here. Far side, penalty flag down. Deontay Spencer, one of the guys that impressed Dwayne so far here tonight. 4.5 to go.
Yeah, Spencer kind of the little guy amongst all those
Legal contact, Montreal, number 21. 10-yard penalty, first down, Toronto.
How about Adrian McPherson starting to look like the guy who was in Montreal a few years ago? 3 successive completions.
And maybe that rust slowly starting to peel off. Now, he has been playing football. He's been playing in the Arena League for the last couple of years since he left the CFL. Has been a productive player there.
1st and 10. Argos get to add to the tally. First one looks good there. Big block by Jay. Another big block. And opens up a little more real estate. That's what Adrian McPherson did so much of here, and with very strong efficiency.
Yeah, well, he was the complete change of pace from Anthony Calvillo. Calvillo, the consummate timing passer, guy who rarely left the pocket. Whereas you had McPherson, the freelancer, guy with no hesitation to tuck that ball and take off.
There's the guy who used to start ahead of him. 3-man rush. Here comes the 4th. McPherson spies him. Now he's going down. But very close to a first down. So Adrian McPherson making some hay here. Here's another thing that happens, though, in preseason games, that you're also seeing a lot of second team and third team units on the field.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit difficult to evaluate as well.
Yeah, you get quite a mix of guys out there. Certainly the less experienced players are on the field at this stage of the game.
Well, you want to stay healthy for next week and the marathon of a season ahead. 3rd down now, 3rd and 3. Can McPherson keep it going? Adrian knocked down by James Tuck, former York star. Been around with the Alouettes since last year, a 4th-round pick. That mane of hair out of the Aurora Newmarket area, north of Toronto. So a turnover on downs by the Argos.
Nice anticipation here from Tuck. McPherson trying to hit Lyle McCombs in the flat. Tuck reacting to get the hands up in that passing lane.
Last play before the 3-minute warning. Bridge. Rutley goes vertical. He's had the ball stripped away and into the end zone. Now Argos are signaling touchdown. Don't think so. So the 3-minute warning and the final preseason test for both of these teams here tonight in Montreal. 4th quarterback of the night for the Alouettes is Rakeem Cato from the Marshall Thundering Herd, a record breaker there, an exciting quarterback.
He's actually already broken a Canadian Football League record.
Yes, we have a CFL record here tonight in preseason.
Most players on the same team wearing number 12.
Isn't that amazing?
This is the 3rd number 12 for the Montreal Alouettes.
Tribute to Yvonne Cornway.
The Roadrunner.
And that ball floats over top. So, okay, let's go through the number 12s. Again, we've had a number of duplicate numbers here tonight.
Well, you've got the incumbent, number 12. That's Jeff Tisdale, veteran DB,
who's not giving that up, by the way. So Dobson Collins, if you do make this team, good luck. You're not wearing that number. And Rakeem, you're not wearing that number. So Jeff Tisdale, who is the normal number 12.
Well, see, this is shades of when the Las Vegas Posse came in the league in 1994. Because what they would do, it wasn't the duplication of numbers, but I think those guys, they didn't put names on the back and they'd like switch numbers every week, so the game film was useless.
Did Anthony Calvillo tell you that? Because he played for the Posse.
Well, we knew which one he was.
It's like watching preseason baseball. I recall doing a Blue Jay game a few years ago, and there was a number 67, Chip Cannon, at the plate. Left-handed, tall, lanky guy.
Yep.
And on deck, another number 67, tall, left-handed, lanky guy. And we didn't know which one he was. That's preseason.
Yep.
They were 67. So after this, though, the numbers will become more familiar. The names will become more familiar. 2:18 to go, and then we can look forward to next week. Can't wait to get it started. Our full schedule on TSN. Everybody's revved up for football. It should be a very interesting year. Lyle McCombs. And what's going to be interesting, I think, in the next 48 hours for some teams. Do you not?
There will be some tough decisions to be made. You usually have a pretty good idea of most of your positions, who most of your starters are going to be coming into this second preseason game. But there are always opportunities for guys to surprise you in that one last dress rehearsal and force you to keep them.
Again, Adrian McPherson, who was just signed after the first preseason game. He's looked pretty good, actually. There's a penalty flag on McCombs. Like they might have came a little close to that face mask. Not sure what the call is here. On second down, might be a face mask. He's looked pretty good, Lyle McCombs.
Yes, again, getting lots of touches to try and
Toronto,
himself.
number 64. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. Second down.
No face mask. It's a hold.
I think with Lyle McCombs, they're kind of making up for lost time for a guy that they had sent home. Trying to give him as many touches as they can after bringing him back.
They really like Henry Josie. We saw a lot of him in that first quarter. You know you're going to see Anthony Coombs, whether it's at tailback or slot back or that scat back position. Again, Curtis Steele, unpredictable with injuries. He's out. Turnaround, nice play. There goes McCombs, head down. Second down draw play. Did not deceive the Alouettes, though. Mike Edom in on the tackle. So the Argos will kick it back, and the Alouettes will get another try offensively. A little more time for Rakeem Cato.
Swayze Waters back to kick.
What a year last year for him. One of the real bright spots for the Toronto Argos.
It's like Mikhail Davidson deep to receive.
No yards, the call. Down he goes. Tanya's down there again. Cato comes out, minute to go. Next Thursday, it all begins. 2015 regular season, Thursday night football. Ottawa Red Blacks, Montreal Alouettes. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. On TSN, new football season. There's
6:30 in Newfoundland, by the way.
There you go. Tanya again. He's had a few impacts tonight. Downfield very quickly. Argos will head home. Owls will head back to the practice field. Cato has a completion. Chandler Jones. Such a different start to the season next week as well. Toronto opening up in Fort McMurray. Which is labeled as a home game for them. Of course, Rogers Center conflicts. There's Pan Am Games conflicts for Hamilton early on as well, so they'll have to do some juggling, and it makes you wonder what kind of starts you need and are going to get. Keep in mind, for the Argos, they got new ownership. They've got a new place to play next year, it looks like.
The right place to play.
Mm-hmm. So times are changing in Toronto, too. Final 30 seconds. Cato. Out of the pocket. Looking for Jones. Tight coverage downfield. Vincent Agnew denying him.
Well, I think Scott Milanovich will find out very early in this 2015 season what his Toronto Argonaut team is made of. You mentioned the scheduling challenges with the Pan Am Games taking place in Southern Ontario. Means that they're going to start on the road. They're going to start without Ricky Ray. They've got some tough Western matchups to start the season.
Boy, do they ever. Against the powerhouse Eskimos. Cato now. Has no one there. Chased down, brought down. And that was a head tackle. Clothesline. Dante Moak. His glove on the mask here. There it is. Down he goes. Dante Moak out of Nevada. One of those guys trying to earn a last-minute spot. Ricky Foley. Didn't really mention Ricky Foley tonight, but with the team, traded from Saskatchewan back with the Argos. He even commented that this D-line is as good as he has seen in any of his camps.
Yeah, a lot of young guys.
Number 97. 30 yards and penalties. First down, Montreal.
Well, with 8 seconds to go, 30 yards downfield, you might get a shot at an end zone here. Make this a little closer. Horse collar. Bemused Scott Milanovich.
Well, Rakeem Cato, he's a guy that, as you said, Tom Higgins talked about. It's not a big wow factor when you look at him, but when you watch him play, he's a guy who finds ways to get it done.
Rutley will bring it down to 3, so 1 more to go. Will they take one more shot perhaps at the end zone, or will they just kneel it down and get ready for the opening of business next week?
I think with your young guys in there, give them one more chance to make a play.
Well, Milanovich is sending his defense back in prevent.
Out for the Montreal Alouettes. Quick turnaround again, playing next Thursday. Lots of work to do, particularly on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, keep it on the ground. Brandon Rutley, last touch. Last game for many of these players. They'll be heading home, victims of cuts in the preseason. Others will get ready for the start of the regular season, including Trevor Harris. Defense does it tonight for the Argos. Their secondary sizzle. Trevor Harris looked good. The Argos win this preseason game 30-10 in Montreal. Next week, it all gets started right here against the Ottawa Red Blacks. The Owls and the Red Blacks will kick off 2015. Good night, everybody from Montreal. Can't wait to get it started next week. Here comes SportsCenter.